Hi guys, I'm the Yorkshire Samurai, aka Yorkie Sam, and thank you for joining me today. Today I'll be doing a video which is a second of a three-part series I'm doing on American cartoon sitcoms, and today I'll be doing The Simpsons. Once again, apologies because I've still got a lingering cold, so you'll be hearing the odd sniff here and there, but we'll get through it today. So I decided to do the famous living room scene in which we're all sitting on the couch, usually at the beginning of each episode. It varies, there's some sort of different kind of variation of the same opening where they all sit on the couch to watch the preceding episode. And I wanted to stick with that format. I think it's very iconic, so I decided to do that. And as you can see here, I'm kind of sketching around the reference picture I have because I really could not be bothered to do a perspective drawing needed to do it. I thought I'll just sketch around it quickly so I can concentrate on what I want to do properly, which is do my own version of the characters. So the background wasn't as interesting to me, so I decided to skip that a little bit, be a bit lazy and kind of trace over it. So Homer was the easiest character for me to do in this whole thing because what I really like about Homer is he's the everyday man to the point where we all know someone who looks and even acts a little bit like this man, even though he's much more exaggerated than a lot of people we might know who acts it the way he does. So he was by far the easiest. Marge was easy apart from her hair, which is iconic kind of like weird hair, but I had a little look for references, and even though because she's got quite bushy hair, most of the hairstyles were of African women who kind of do this, but Marge isn't African American. So I kind of went for like a Bride of Frankenstein look, which I think quite suits her look. Now the kids, apart from Maggie, were by far more challenging because I'm not going to say that I'm the most I've got the greatest fashion sense, but especially Lisa, I don't know what they were thinking of when they designed her outfit, because if it was like a Flintstones type prehistoric cartoon, her clothing would fit in fine, but even in the 90s, I don't know why they gave her this kind of weird, kind of like scraggly dress. I'm going to put up a reference of the original one in a second so you can see what my issue is with this. So I had to change that. I kind of went with a more kind of punk look with a bit of tartan. You'll see later on. And even with Bart, I gave him some Jordans just to make him more interesting and make him feel a bit more modern and contemporary. So yeah, I went with that. And even, I said Homer was the easiest for me to do, but you can actually see here his facial hair. I'm trying to work out what I want to do with it. And one thing I will say, you'll see me in a second really progress and then I've not ready actually. I went so far and got rid of what I had done. You shouldn't be afraid to do that. You shouldn't be afraid to draw something that's not working. Just get rid of it and start fresh before you invest too much time and effort into it. So that's been quite fun. But as I say, the kids, especially Lisa, I really wasn't sure for quite a long time how I wanted to do her look. But I'm quite happy with how it ends up. Another thing I really enjoyed about doing this was figuring out the hair for everybody. Well, mostly for the kids, because when you look at the hair in the original show, there's no kind of like beginning or end to it. It's part of their head. So I kind of imagine Lisa having kind of really tousled short hair, and I thought I'd give same for Maggie, kind of short tousled hair, a little bow, kind of cute babyish look. And for Bart, I thought was go for more kind of like skinhead at the sides and a little kind of bit up the top. I was gonna actually give him a full-on mullet. I thought that might be a bit too far, so I kind of reined it back a bit to what we've got here. And you can see the paint in the background. I'll have to look up properly, but I thought it'd be fun rather than doing the kind of traditional bow to do. I initially looked for paintings by Rubens. I vaguely remembered him doing a painting of a boat. So I had a little look, and I can not quite remember the reference I ended up picking, but I shall bring it up here in a second for you to have a look at, so you can see what I eventually went with. So as you can see, I was completely wrong about the artist. It was a Turner, but I got the idea from thinking of, I believe it was a Sea of Galilee painting I was thinking of when I was thinking of Rubens. But I quite like the idea that this painting was brought in either by Marge, trying to bring a bit of culture into the house, but it's a little bit askew to kind of highlight the kind of rambunctious nature of Homer and Homer and Bart, I should say, not really Homer and the kids, Homer and Bart specifically. I also, and obviously this doesn't really fit into the canon, but there's an episode where Homer is like a genius. I think, if I remember rightly, it's been years since I've seen it, but there was like a crayon. Yeah, there was a crayon lodged up his nose, and it was affecting his brain, and it gets removed, and he turned out to be like a genius. And I kind of like the idea that he brought this painting in to kind of add some culture as well, but that doesn't fit in with the timeline because that painting was in there well before that episode. But it's quite a nice little kind of thing to think of. Maybe he did that, but I seriously doubt it. So now regarding the colour that I'm using, I'm actually using the colours straight from the reference picture onto my picture, because I kind of like the idea that your eye is going to be very familiar with the colour of the room, and you're going to get drawn to it immediately. I also decided I was going to initially have the skin colour of the Simpsons, like real flesh tones, but I thought, you know what, it's the yellow skin is too iconic to change, so I'm going to leave it as that, because yeah, it's too iconic and it doesn't really make any sense to change it, in my opinion. It'd be good to hear maybe what you guys would think. Should I have maybe changed that and gone with more realistic skin tones, or do you like how it looks now? But yeah, this is the final result. Hope you like it. So there we go, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And this is part 2 of a 3-part series in which I am drawing American cartoon sitcoms. So I hope you'll join me for the last one I'll be doing. And by this time, I'm guessing you've guessed what the family will be. I've done South Park and for part 1, Simpsons for part 2. You must know who the last one is now, but that's for the next video. So thanks for joining me, guys. Peace.